Hey, we're back, and I'm reading The Beige because Matt's only heard parts of it, and it's so fucking hilarious. And people will want to buy your smokable ass.
You gotta do it in Brian's voice, though.
Brian doesn't have a voice.
He sure does. He has a very bizarre voice. I got those cars just parked here for the drive-in.
Just parked. Was there something glowing on the other side, though? I swear, like one of the cars, like in that direction.
Yeah, that thing. That's probably a page.
Yeah. All right, we're on chapter 2. Danny opened the trap.
Cactus.
Yeah. Danny opened the trapdoor only to reveal a staircase covered in the finest velvet leading into the darkness below. The strains of Passage to Bangkok wafted through the air, played by the stereo system on Brian's private helicopter, which was stationed just outside the window to the apartment, hovering, waiting.
What?
Yeah. Danny began to head down the stairs, but quickly stopped when he realized that Brian was no longer behind him. Danny looked around the room and quickly found Brian relaxing at a fur chase lounge just below the crystal chandelier, slowly applying layer upon layer of his vanity brand lip balm. Transient decadence.
Is that the lip balm?
Yeah.
Oh god, he's on the TV.
Now it was Danny's turn to beckon Brian, who put the cover on his lip balm and placed it prominently in his front right pocket, so that the outline of its hard, cylindrical plastic case formed a delicate protuberance visible through the waist fringes of his professionally tailored leather pants.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, come on.
TV time.
All right.
He's still in the hotel room.
He has a knife. He has a knife.
You know he had
way too much fun with this. Oh no. Who is fat chicken fingers?
Oh no. It's the scene from that movie with Quentin Tarantino.
The Pulp Fiction one?
No. I think it's Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, it could be Reservoir Dogs.
Cause I'm stuck in the middle with you.
I was in... It's on YouTube. I was in a machinima where... I was like, he sent me the whole first episode, like, and it's like 30 minutes long, and there is literally like 8 minutes of it is just that song, where he pretty much recreates in Halo Reach that scene, but he doesn't. But because of the limitations of the engine, nothing really happens. He is literally just interrogating a guy to that song, and I told him, I'm like, it's interesting, but it's really boring. Like he's really amazing at cinematography as far as the Halo engine goes. Like it looks really great, but good God, that scene was boring. And I am the most boring person in that show, and it is not because it's of me. The character is written really boring. I do it fine. Like it took us 2 hours, I think, like over the course of like 2 weeks to get the part right. I only had 4 lines, but I kept acting too much.
Was he supposed to be boring?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh god damn it! I want him this.
All right, back to the Beige.
This is the big building I was supposed to be in.
Yes.
Oh, I had to pick up the generator building key.
Brian fixed his gaze on Danny, slowly rose out of his chase, and playfully and brusquely pushed Danny down the stairs in a way that was initially not cool, but gradually became cool.
What?
I want to read that again because it's so great.
This is like, I want to hear Brian read this.
Brian fixed his gaze on Danny, slowly rose up out of the chaise, and playfully yet brusquely pushed Danny down the stairs in a way that was initially not cool, but gradually became cool. As Danny tumbled down the velvet, a sly smile crept across his face, and realized that this evening was going to be about one thing, and one thing alone: him. Chapter 3.
Wait, encountered this before.
What? Was that the old Gods of Asgard playing on the radio?
Could be, yeah.
He has experienced it himself, but merciful light burned away the darkness in his brain.
I don't know. Chapter 3. Next, darkness. Danny awoke slowly. He could not tell how much time had passed. Perhaps only seconds, but possibly hours. Although Danny's eyes had not yet adjusted to the darkness around him, he could sense movement. The stench of man sweat assaulted his tender nostril in much the same way that he would soon have his junk assaulted by Brian's eager, probing mouth.
Did Ninja Brian write this?
Yeah, he did. Brian wrote this. He could still faintly hear Rush playing in the darkness, but the song had moved onto the live version of Tom Sawyer, which the band had played at Brian's celebrity-filled 35th birthday party held on international waters on a chartered yacht captained by supermodels. As his lips brushed against the 500 thread count satin velvet sheets, Danny realized
Hey, look, you found it.
Heroes here. You ready to save the day?
that he was in Brian's custom-made solid oak bed. Somebody must have gently placed him there while unconscious, and although he had no memory of the event, Danny appreciated the tender way which he had been tucked in, stripped of all his clothes, given a full-body shave, and rubbed down with white rose petals and patted dry. Suddenly, the sound of freshly moistened lips smacking together rang through the darkness, and a shadow approached the bedside. It was Brian, and he was carrying the glow-in-the-dark lotion sampler given to him by President Obama, a personal friend. I see you're already hard, winked Brian. Good, you'll be needing that. Chapter 4. It gets even weirder, if you can imagine.
I don't think I can.
Slowly yet violently, Brian placed his perfectly manicured right hand on the sheet covering Danny and ripped it off the bed, throwing it so that it landed in a perfectly folded pile next to the extensive collection of erotic Greek sculpture Brian acquired on one of his many all-expenses-paid trips to Europe. Brian squirted an inappropriately large amount of lotion onto his velvety, grabby palms. Danny softly moaned with anticipation, boredom, or one of his many other irrelevant and uninteresting emotions.
Wait, what?
You want me to read again?
Yes, please read
Danny softly moaned with anticipation, boredom, or one of his many other irrelevant and uninteresting emotions. Brian brusquely slapped his lotion-filled hand onto Danny's hairy, unflattering thighs, and slowly began to rub in circular motions while whispering the lyrics to the Journey song Any Way You Want It, which Brian had ghostwritten by himself with no help. As Danny's thighs got moister and moister, Brian's hands worked their way up into Danny's poorly maintained man bush. And just as Brian was about to take a one-way trip to Sacktown, he paused.
Man, those one-way trips are expensive.
"It is time!" screamed Brian, slamming his open mouth onto Danny's erect and unimpressive penis. Danny passed out for pleasure/terror/nobody cares, and so it began.
I love those things together. It's pleasure and terror, and nobody cares.
Chapter 5. This is where it starts to get weird.
It starts to get weird.
10.3 million years later, Danny awoke on the surface of Gropenus 4 in the #butt system. Robot Brian was asleep on top of him, his metal mouth surrounding Danny's still erect and still not very impressive dick. "What happened?" asked Danny stupidly, scratching his dumb face. "Where are we?" Robot Brian awoke with a start and began to speak in a metallic, commanding voice, not unlike that of a young Benedict Cumberbatch, if he had been a robot or whatever. "Danny, many eons have now passed since I began to bees you. As you may well imagine, the bees started out amazingly. Although you were asleep, your body was racked with pleasure as my human mouth began to expertly work its way around your pallid, distasteful groin. I did everything a man could do to another man, including stuff I had to look up online because I had never heard of it because it was too gross. And despite all my mouth efforts, you slept. Cities rose and fell, and still you slept. All of human consciousness was uploaded to a vast database, and our bodies were replaced by superior synthetic ones, and still you slept. And even once I had robot hands and used them to rub you all over, especially in ways I would not have been cool with you had you been awake. Still, you slept. I'm really thinking of that fucked up. And even once I had robot hands and used them to rub you all over, especially in ways I know would not have been cool with you had you been awake, still you slept. As Earth blew up for some reason, I carried you to the final escaping starship, my mouth all the while on your disgusting wiener, and took you here to the most distant human colony. As I continued to work you over, still you slept. And gradually, after every other member of the human race had gone, the pace at which my mouth was bobbing up and down on your eager, boring shaft slowed. And then I wept. And then I slept.
I should be able to figure this out.
Robot Brian paused and stood. And now, said Robot Brian, middle hands held aloft in triumph, I shall finish you off. Danny gasped in pleasure or something as Robot Brian threw himself towards Danny's gross junk. Using exactly the perfect amount of mouth friction, Robot Brian brought Danny to the brink of ecstasy and then stopped. And once again stood. Just kidding, bro, laughed Robot Brian. I'd never give you a real beige. That'd be gross. High five. As Robot Brian reached his hand for an amazing high five, Danny died, and the human race died with him. Well, that wasn't very cool of him, thought Robot Brian to himself as he began masturbating into the sunset. That wasn't cool at all. The end. So what'd you think of the beige, Matt?
I thought it was good. I thought it was way better than Ebony Darkness. What's her face?
Yeah, Ebony Darkness, who gives the fuck way. Alyssa has sent me another fan fiction.
Oh, it's more Inuyasha.
Yeah, it's more Inuyasha.
Tell her it's not Inuyasha. Like, Inuyasha's fine.
I did tell her that. I said more fan fiction, please. Doesn't have to be Inuyasha.
Well, please no Inuyasha. I mean, Inuyasha's fine, but I would prefer something else.
I only got 3 minutes of this episode, so here we go.
Well,
I Missed You. Chapter 1.
ow.
Kagome couldn't take it anymore. Thought of his hair brushing against her skin, of his broad, flat chest above hers, and of her legs wrapped around his narrow waist. Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
Her hand slipped inside her underwear, toying with her coarse hairs for a moment as she felt a sudden heat pool in her stomach. One hand...
Is this sort of like that thing where you remember when you smoke weed and you levitate 5 feet?
Yeah. You know when you smoke weed and you get a Spanish accent? Hola! I am so high right now. Okay.
Oh, God. The fucking gate's locked, and now I have to go through the electric field.
Go around. Don't touch the fence. One hand continued its journey downward, while the other slid its way up under her nightgown, her fingers tracing their way up past the dip of her navel to cradle her breasts. Slowly, she began to work her fingers inside herself. We are straight out of the gate. Her other hand
I feel like this is inappropriate for YouTube.
Slowly, yes, it is. Her other hand roughly massaging her breasts.
If any electrical system were ever doing this, bad things would be happening.
Well, yeah.
Like,
the contrast between her gentle rubbing of her core and the brutal way she pinched at her nipples heightened her passion until she felt she couldn't see straight.
Why are these not going off? Do I need to push a button somewhere?
I don't know. She imagined it was his hand stroking her into oblivion, his hands roughly pulling at her rosy peaks, and she arched off the bed, her chest heaving upwards towards an imaginary lover, yearning to be caressed, to be covered in semen. No, it doesn't say it. She moaned a low, keening sound that her body couldn't contain. No longer able to take the sweet, self-inflicted torture, she thrust her fingers inside her rapidly now, her hips moving to meet each of her movements. Cess, she moaned. Oh, please, harder, faster. I need you. Give me a fucking jelly bean. Oh, shit.
Oh, God. Oh, hey.
Idea how badly you're screwed.
What is this guy?
Blast to watch you find out.
He is throwing
Don't want to get hit by those.
gas cans at him.
Awesome.
I made them all disappear. I'm sure they'll be back, though.
Oh, wow. Alright. Suddenly, her panties were torn from around her waist. Her hand was yanked from her core and was swiftly replaced by a thick, hard... I missed you too, babe. Yeah. Shishomaru whispered in her ear, quickly nibbling at her earlobe before thrusting heavily into her.
Oh, God. Oh god, it's a flashbang that shoots darkness.
Awesome. He pouted her. No, she cried out, her hands moving to grasp his shoulders, fisting in the material of his shirt as she hooked a leg around his waist and held on for dear life. Hold on, is there more than one chapter of this? Nope. So I'm just gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this one, and that'll be the end of this episode.
Okay.
There's not much longer. Fisting in the material of his shirt that she hooked a leg around his waist and held on for dear life. He pounded her roughly, their lovemaking filled with the mutual passion they had both been missing, a result of being separated for months, their only contact being video chats and phone calls. And it's been ruined. It's been ruined. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe she gave him a laptop?
Yeah.
Oh god.
You're so tight, he groaned. I missed you so much. She nearly sobbed, overwhelmed with joy at his return and anticipation of her impending climax. God, just showed her she cried desperate now.
Don't kill them.
Words later, just fuck me. Your wish is my command, he grunted, burrowing his nose in the crook of her neck. She couldn't stand it any longer. Her core was already tightening around her clit, easily overstimulated by the friction provided by their reunion. So when his hand reached down and pinched her clit, she nearly exploded with ecstasy. His rough pounding came to a abrupt halt as he too came, spilling his seed into her still convulsing walls. She moaned with pleasure as she looped her arms behind his neck and pulled him down for a breathtaking kiss. Tongues tangled.
Wait, did we watch this already?
Yeah, we totally did.
No, he took... Oh, that's right.
Is it even really pixelated?
Well, yeah, it's shit. Another one of those fucking assholes.
She moaned with pleasure as she... Oh, yeah. Tongues tangled, chest pressed against chest. His hands ran along the length of her body, stroking her into yet another frenzy. I missed you too. Okay. Next time on Twins Play, I don't know if we're going to read anymore because I don't have anything else to read at the moment.
We'll figure something out. Bye.
Bye.